my name's Deanna Hope, and welcome to Spooky Spotlight, a show where I shine a light on horror films that you may or may not have heard of. On today's first episode, we are going to be talking about As Above, So Below, directed by John Eric Dowdle. As Above, So Below is a 1 hour and 33-minute found footage film about a group of archaeologists who travel to Paris, France in search of hidden treasure underneath the city in the catacombs. Now, what's really cool about this film is it actually was shot in Paris, France for 2 whole months back in 2013. Given permission from the French authorities, they filmed in the real catacombs, marking it the first movie to ever get permission to shoot in the off-limit areas. Now, as cool as it is that they did shoot in the catacombs, I personally don't think I could ever see myself going down there just because this film did freak me out so much. If you have seen it or you plan on seeing it, you will probably understand what I am talking about. And if you agree with me, please be sure to let me know in the comments that I am not the only one that is a total scaredy cat. Now, our main character, Scarlett, played by the lovely Perdita Weeks, has devoted her whole life to finding one of history's greatest treasures, known as Flamel's Philosopher's Stone. Now, the reason she was so persistent in finding this stone was because her late father had also devoted his life to finding it, but had died mysteriously before he ever found it. Now, John Eric Dowdle, he directed the film, he also wrote the film, and he was inspired by the real-life Nicholas Flamel, who was a bookseller in the 14th and early 15th centuries in Paris, France. He discovered Flamel's Philosopher's Stone, which, legend has it, if found, will grant eternal life as well as be able to turn any metal into gold. Now, with being able to turn anything into gold, I mean, that sounds pretty nice. You can imagine why it was so enticing, and Scarlett was a little obsessed with finding it. So Scarlett and her cameraman Benji, played by Edwin Hodge, head off to Paris. But before that, they pick up her friend, or former love interest, George, played by Ben Fieldman. Once the 3 of them arrive in Paris, they are in search of a not-so-legal tour guide. And what I mean by that is there is approximately 174 miles of catacombs underneath the city. However, available to the public to view is only 1 mile. As you can imagine, it was quite the challenge filming in the real Paris catacombs for the cast and crew.
Added a wall just to the left here, so it felt very tight. It felt like a very narrow corridor.
Not only was there limited lighting, however, they chose to film documentary style, so they didn't actually bring any lighting down into the catacombs themselves. The only lights used were the headlamps put on the actors or the lights from the cameras. There also was no cell phone service, and at times, the cast was waist deep in water filming. The cast and crew agree that the experience was very creepy, which I can imagine, exhausting, and very fun. Scarlett, Benji, and George end up recruiting Papillon, played by Francois Civil, along with his experienced crew of cave explorers. Now, in exchange for his help, Scarlett offers him the treasure that comes along with Flamel's Philosopher's Stone. While navigating through the tunnels, they end up experiencing a series of challenges, such as crawling over human remains, actual human bones. On top of that, they rappel down holes in the ground, they walk through water. Now, eventually they reach a fork in the road. Scarlett wants to go one way, and Papillon insists on going the other. His reasoning for not wanting to go the way Scarlett does is due to his friend disappearing, and the last he was seen was in that tunnel. He is pretty insistent that if they go the way Scarlett wants to, they will never be seen again and never make it out. Eventually, Scarlett gets her way, and the whole crew heads into the tunnel of doom. After rappelling a few times, they head down a long corridor. Now, going back to earlier, I had mentioned that there is no cell phone service or any phone lines down within the catacombs. There used to be, however, they were all disconnected long ago. Keep that in mind.
Hello?
And what does she hear on the other line? her father's voice. Now, with these unexplained phenomenons slowly happening to each and every one of them, they start to lose their sanity in the slightest bit. Now, in real life, the cast and crew expressed how fun it was to film in the catacombs. However, they also expressed that after 20 or so days of filming down 6 stories beneath the surface, they all did start to slowly lose it in small ways due to them saying that the air was just different down there. Now, on the surface, As Above, So Below can come across as just another found footage film. However, in my opinion, there's much more substance to it. It tackles topics such as life and death or heaven and hell. Now, one by one, each of these characters are experiencing their own version of hell, having to face their inner demons and sins in order to survive. They actually stumble across a riddle on the wall. George and Scarlett are able to decipher it, uncovering a tomb with Nicholas Flamel's body in it that is well preserved because of his use of the stone. Now, once inside the tomb, they actually discover an underwater passage leading to another room. Once they all swim through, what is unveiled is treasure and what is believed to be the Philosopher's Stone. And we've all seen Indiana Jones. We know that when there's treasure, there's gotta be a catch, there's gotta be a booby trap of some sort. Well, when Scarlett went to grab the stone, the ceiling actually collapsed, covering their backpacks that had their flashlights in it, their spare batteries, the map, everything. So they have no choice but to continue forward. Inside the tomb, they actually run into what appears to be Papellone's missing friend, Mole, played by Cosme Castro. Unfortunately, it looks like Mole, but it is not Mole. It is something much darker that ends up killing one of our other cave explorers, Susie, played by Marion Lambert. Now, her sin wasn't fully explained. However, it is alluded that somewhere in her past, she had also attacked someone violently, which is why she died the way she did. Unfortunately, she did not have a chance to rectify that. Once they realized they can't save Susie, they reluctantly move forward, finding themselves yet again rappelling down a hole in the ground, going deeper into the earth. One by one, they descended into the hole, leaving Benji, our cameraman, for last.
Putting us 1,000 feet down.
Now, as Benji is reluctantly preparing himself to descend into the hole, he starts hearing strange sounds, almost as if someone is there with him. He starts looking around, filled with fear, and out of nowhere, a woman with a baby jump scares him, causing him to fall down the hole. Now, unfortunately, he did not make it, and he died on impact, marking that as our second kill of the movie. Now, Benji, played by Edwin Hodge, is actually claustrophobic in real life. So, in some of his scenes where he is crawling through tunnels or going down holes, his fear is real. The crew really doesn't want to continue on, but unfortunately, that's really the only direction they can go at this point. They are so deep in the ground that there's really no going back. So, they continue forward. Eventually, they see a glowing light in the distance. As they turn the corner, they see a burning vehicle with a boy inside that is on fire. Now, Papillon instantly recognizes this boy and starts saying, "It's not my fault, it's not my fault," as he's getting dragged to the vehicle. Now, George and Scarlett try helping him, but nothing is stopping the force that is pulling him into the vehicle. Eventually, the boy himself even grabs Papillon and drags him into the car. Next thing you know, the car is gone. Papillon is buried alive in the sand. The 3 remaining members, George, Scarlett, and Zed. Zed is played by Ali Mayar. They run for their lives. As Scarlett, Benji, and Zed move forward, they encounter a hooded man sitting in a chair. Now, I believe that that is representing the devil himself. Now, once they sneak past the devil himself, they encounter stone bodies attacking them and biting at them. They end up biting George to the point where he's bleeding out. Now, Scarlett tries to use the Philosopher's Stone, which had worked before, but this time it didn't work. Once Scarlett realizes the stone doesn't work, she immediately recognizes it as a fake stone. And on top of that, it was a sin for her to take it in the first place. So her only choice is to leave George and Zed alone, head all the way back to the tomb, and return it to rectify her sins. And yes, that means that she climbed up the ropes that they originally used to rappel on. Talk about upper body strength. As Scarlet travels back to the tomb, we actually take on her POV, which in my opinion makes the film much more terrifying, because it really feels like we are alone with her, that we are Scarlet and we are alone in the catacombs. On top of that, the environment is much more hostile than what she remembers. The tunnels where there was originally water is now blood, and there's hands within the blood trying to drag her down. On top of that, some of the floors actually have mouths that are trying to bite her. Covered in blood, Scarlet makes it back to the tomb. She takes the fake stone, puts it back where it was, and starts searching around for the real one. She actually wipes off a little mirror, sees her reflection, and realizes there was actually no stone to begin with. The power was within oneself. By returning the stone and rectifying her sin, she is actually able to heal George's wound simply by touching him. Now that George is healed and they're able to move on, the three of them run down the next corridor while being chased by hooded figures. They eventually reach a maintenance drain that will take them back to the city. However, in order to open it, Zed and George must admit and rectify their sins. Zed admits that he is a child that he has never claimed as his own, while George admits that he took part in his brother dying when he was a kid. After that, they are able to open it and the three of them crawl out. Now that the three of them have crawled out and managed to get to safety, they all embrace, celebrating their survival. Then Zed heads out without saying a word, leaving Scarlet and George just stunned. After that, it cuts to black and roll credits. There you have it, as above, so below. Now, if you haven't seen the film, but you watch this video all the way through, I still recommend going and watching it. There's so many great visuals, so many great aspects that I did not cover in this video, and it is definitely worth a watch. I just really love the way that they depicted hell. I feel like it is very different from a lot of other films that depict hell, and everyone has their own interpretation, but to me, as above, so below, there's such a grounded realness, like, I don't know, there's just something about it that really captivates me. Alright, with that being said, thank you for tuning in to our first ever episode of Spooky Spotlight. Thank you so much. Please give me a like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and please share this with anyone who you think might enjoy this film.